Talk to them. Be seated now. Welcome to our Wednesday, April the 8th Commissioners meeting. If you'll stand and join me in the pledge and a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Heavenly Father, we come together to conduct the county business. In this time of uncertainty and confusion, we humbly ask for your guidance and wisdom. Help us, Lord, to make sound judgment calls when needed that strengthen our community as a whole. In your name we pray. Amen. Before we get started, we have Jason Simler from Baker Tilly on a Zoom, and we wanted to discuss the process levies and for the Coombe Bridge Fund and stuff, because we need to get that done before the end of this month. So I'll turn it over to Jason, explain the process and how we need to do this and what we need to do first.
Thanks, Steve. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Debbie, I think I sent you yesterday some information with the steps required. Did you have that?
I do have that. I passed it on to the.
Okay. So on that paper there, that lists the steps required to create an area or create a Coombe fund or amend one. As you know, you already have a Coombe Bridge fund at 2 cents. So if you want to increase that, you have to put the 2 notices in the paper, have a public hearing, and then after that public hearing, give a publication out with 30-day notice, letting taxpayers the opportunity to remonstrate against that. And then after that 30 days is over, there's no remonstrance, then you can file the respective paperwork to DLGF and get the amended or increase in the Coombe Bridge approved. So that date that has to be sent to DLGF is May 31st. So as was mentioned, I think if you want to try to get 2 publications and get that 30-day notice to be able to do that, you would need to start the process this month.
Okay.
just a couple of things that I would point out, I know we talked about this in the past, but just as a reminder, the Cume Bridge, the county can increase the rate up to 10 cents, but the Cume Bridge is within the county's maximum levy. So if you increase the Cume Bridge levy, you would have to decrease the levy in one of your other funds, like the general fund, reassessment, parks. So that's something that, council will have to be aware of when they're approving looking at the budget this summer, is if you increase this amount, they'll have to decrease the budget somewhere else.
Any other words of wisdom?
No, I mean, just like we've talked before, if you do have there's nothing wrong with going this route, but if it doesn't get passed, or you decide that, you go with a certain amount, and then next year, if you determine that you have more bridge projects than you have in the Cume Bridge budget, you can always use your general fund for that purpose. So you have that flexibility.
So you would suggest taking it out of general fund, or where would you think would be the best place to take it from?
Debbie wanted to know if you wanted to just take it out of general fund, if you recommended that, or if that's the best way to do this.
There's no, either way is fine. It's really up to how you really want to approve it, and keep track of the funds.
I just
And
know
we already have a Cume Bridge fund, so it's not like you're creating something new. It's really just how you want to keep track of it internally.
Right. It's almost a prioritizing of forcing the money to be moved in that direction.
It's like it's
The one benefit of the Cume Bridge fund is, if bridges are not cheap. It's not something that you can just typically, raise the funds in 1 year and be able to do all the projects that you want, even for one bridge. So it's a good way of allocating the funds and keeping it in the Cume Bridge fund and accumulating it for specific projects that may take a number of years to be able to fund, whether that's more difficult when it's just in the general fund.
I think it helps with
that's the
planning.
concern right now is we've got several bridges that are in dire need of immediate attention. So I think that was the spur behind this. We just wanted to make sure we were doing everything correct to get the ball rolling.
So
And Joel, if you need help with any of the notices or anything, I know Paige Samson, I know you work with her, and Debbie has. I think we have examples if you need help with any of that.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
So it's April the 8th, and we have to post 30 days notice and have the decision by May 31st. So we have about 2 weeks. Do we need to decide today and set the ball rolling?
Well, the first time you'll be able to put it in the Middletown News is next Thursday, the 16th, because they only publish on Thursdays. And I have to have it to them by noon on Friday or Monday.
Okay. So we need to decide today, probably, if we want to do it.
Yeah, you'll have to publish it twice before for the public hearing. So
Debbie, do we have a recommendation from the council for what they would like it to be?
I've talked to some of the people on the council. Yeah. Yeah,
I
they
know.
wanted to make sure that we were starting the ball rolling if we were going to do that. So
Okay.
because some of them are aware that this is something that has to be addressed. They just wanted to make sure that they can't do anything until we do something.
Right.
So we need to start the ball rolling.
We talked about it 2 budget sessions ago, I think. Was it 2 or just 1? Because I wasn't there last year.
You talked about the first week.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should have a recommendation from the council when we actually vote on it, but we could probably start the ball rolling now just from a timing perspective if we wanted to.
I was gonna say we can
Joel,
start.
will they have to make a motion today on how much they want to?
Probably what I would suggest to do would be to establish what you think would be the upward limit to publish it with. You can always adopt less than what you publish, but you can't go higher. So that's what I'd recommend.
And then they'll have to know, Jason, right, what fund they're taking it, what levy they're decreasing.
They don't have to know that right now, but yeah, when we're doing the budget this summer, we'll just know that, whatever you decide to do in the Cume Bridge, we'll just know that so much of that levy is going to be allocated to that, and then we'll just know how much left we have for the other funds, and then we can allocate proportionally. Now, I would say that, the commission, you guys could approve a 10-cent rate. And then when the council, works on their budget this summer, and let's say, 10 cents brings in, $1 million. I know it brings in a lot more than that, but just for illustration, brings in $1 million. And that's what you've approved. When the council works on their budget, and let's say they only want to allocate $800,000 of the levy towards the Cume Bridge, they'll submit that to DLGF. DLGF approves it. You may only have to have a 9-cent rate to generate $800,000, and then that's what your Cume Bridge will be, and that's what will be going forward unless you go back and change it. So, I don't know the timing of the council and getting their approval, but that's another way for you guys to move forward without having to wait on council's final approval, because you can approve something now, and they can always, decide later on what they want it to be.
So we're approving a maximum.
In
Is that,
in reality, you are, yeah, because the council has final say in what they budget. They don't have to budget up to the amount that you've approved the maximum to be.
so how does that work then with this split? So we're approving a maximum for Cume Bridge, but that's lowering the other funds. So we're not also approving a maximum for the others because we're not actually, is Cume Bridge the only one that it has to work this way?
Cume Bridge and your CCD fund, that's the only other one that you could increase if you wanted to. But the CCD is outside the maximum levy, though.
Right.
That is one that you guys can control.
That's interesting.
And I think, Jason, right, I think our CCD is already max, right, at the max.
I believe it is. Yeah, I think we increased that a couple years ago. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. And right now we're at 2,
Yeah, just a little over 2 cents for the Cume Bridge.
and you're saying we can go up to 10,
Correct.
and we have no idea what the council's suggested. Okay.
I think you collect about $514,000 right now with that 2 cents. And if you increased it to the max 10 cents, that's over 2.2 million
And I've got
based
bridge-
upon this year's assessed value.
Yeah, and I've got one bridge that's $2 million replacement right now, so, we're not even paying for the bridge.
But
So,
then remember, as you do this, you're decreasing another fund.
I know.
Well, we would just be giving the council permission to do that.
Correct. But
Yeah.
I'm still saying, as you
Yeah.
think about doing it. that's
Right,
what happens.
understood.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
And Joel also said that we could advertise a higher rate than what we actually adopt. So we are giving the council a chance to, if I made a motion to raise the Cume Bridge rate to 6 cents, then the council could come back and tell us, well, we actually don't want to raise it at all, or we want it 4. And when we actually vote then at the public hearing, we could do what the council recommends. Is that right?
That's correct.
So I think if we're deciding if we want to give the council an opportunity to come give us a recommendation, and we're just setting the max of what we would. accept in that recommendation right now.
So that's why I would go with the max of 10 and then let them adjust because they're going to know what the budget or what they're wanting to do, but that's just me.
And then when we vote, we'll base our vote or
Yeah.
on their recommendation.
Yep. Because I say we can always come down. We just can't go up.
Right.
So if you
So we,
said-
we might pass nothing if that's not what the council is wanting us to do. What do you think, Joe?
I think that if you're, I think there's going to have to be a decision by the council, but if you're opening the door for discussion and starting it at 10, is that what?
That would be the max.
is?
I could make a motion that, what would be the right motion? We're going to start the process to set the maximum Cume Bridge rate at 10 cents.
Yes.
Okay, that's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion, a second to start the conversation, raising the Cume Bridge Fund to 10 cents. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
And we just want to clarify for people listening that we're not adjusting the overall tax rate. We're just adjusting
Nope.
how the funds are split that are already being taken in, just for clarification.
Jason off now.
Yeah.
I was thinking, but I guess if he's not there, I won't thank him. Okay. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the previous minutes? And if so, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Have commissioners had an opportunity to review the claims? And if so, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and second to accept claims. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the payroll? And if so, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next up, we have Mayor Mike Pavey and Kyle Gardner. Either or both. I don't care. The little blue box.
Move the blue box?
That's your microphone. So talk into the blue box.
Okay, talking to the blue box. I'm here, I think, to answer any questions. I'll give you any history you want. So you tell me what you think would be the most helpful for you guys.
Why we're paying $50,000.
Okay, all right, we're gonna give you history then. I came into office in 2012. And in 2015, we went to Washington DC. And in that trip to Washington DC, by then, we had kind of got to know the lay of the land and what we were dealing with and had kind of created a partnership with those regional things that affected us and affected those to our north and to our south. And so when we went out to Washington DC, we talked about what we call the Eastern Commerce Parkway. Why? I don't know why we titled it that, but that's what we came up with. And it was an effort that we all agreed was significant, and we agreed being Rushville, Newcastle, Greensburg. So that was the picture we took out there to convince people that this was a significant project that we all wanted to invest time and effort in. And so after that, we came back, we participated in ESERP's SEDS program, which I think is one we're getting ready to update, the SEDS program. We even had NDOT meetings with Greg Pence, where we had Henry County people, Rush County, Decatur County people, who sat through and said, if we were to move forward with a project, what do you think is the most significant project? And much to the chagrin of Fayette County, they had a project that they thought was significant. And not Governor Pence, but at the time Congressman Pence came back and said, I think your focus is here. Highway 3 is where you're gonna get your most bang and probably have the most impact long term. And so in 2003, and I can't remember whether Henry County or Newcastle was a member of ARA, but I think it's bounced back and forth between the two. We went to a presentation in 2003, and in that presentation, they were talking about different programs that were out there, and one of them was called IU's Environmental Resiliency Institute. And it was a group of graduate students who worked for that program, and they were trying to get an opportunity to work on a significant project that they wanted to turn into the federal government. And so we listened to their program, and quite honestly, I'm the spokesman here today, but I wasn't the person who came up with the thought. Afterwards, one of the members came up and said, hey, what if we took that IU resiliency program and had them apply for this SS4A, which would get Highway 3 on their radar as a result of that application. And so we met with them, and in that conversation, they came back and said, we're willing to do it if you're willing to do it. And we said, is everybody on board? And everybody said, yeah, we're on board to make application. So we have that application. That application includes all three of the communities as a regional effort. And then to our surprise, later, they announced that we were awarded the funds for that. Now that's roughly $1 million, and it was an 80-20 split. And so at that point, we're like, oh, we've kind of dreamed that we're going to make this application. And now we've made the application, and now there's a $200,000 bill that's sitting out there. And so we met on March 20th, 2024. We came up and sat down and said, how do we do this? How do you want to move forward? Knowing that Rushville itself, Rushville proper, any road study would be from the north of Rushville and south of Rushville. So it's going to be impacted, probably the greatest of any of the cities. And we also knew that it's going to go all the way through Rush County. And so to divide it into thirds didn't make sense. And then it became road miles, and it became a lot of different options for us. And for the record, we met on March 27th in Decatur County, exact same meeting of got this, how do we do it? And I think the overall consensus was we move forward and we got to figure out a formula. And so that's what we did. We moved forward. And we did it. And I think maybe this is where the disconnect or the miscommunication has come in. I think there has been a transfer of elected officials in Newcastle greater than the transfer of elected officials in Decatur County and Rush County. So everybody that would have been on board through the process was always on board. And so I think here there's been a little bit of a changeover, which I think that handoff, whether it be our responsibility or whose, ends up being an, new people are sitting at the table and they don't know what's going on here. But Newcastle and Henry County were invited and involved in every single part of the whole process. Whether it be consultant selection, community engagement, the background work, the public outreach, the open houses, the community events, the safety audits. All of those were at the point where Lockmuir was selected. We basically went back to, instead of leading the whole effort, we went back to leading our effort. And Decatur County led their effort, and the assumption was Henry County was aware and was leading their effort. And quite honestly, if not for, I'm assuming someone who wasn't a big fan of mine that sent me a thing saying, hey, by the way, Newcastle has no idea what you're talking about. It was like, uh-oh, I guess we're gonna watch the minutes of your meeting, and we're gonna come up and at least do the best we can to explain a gap that's happened somewhere in communication. Knowing that, and I think there was an outreach to Joe to kind of explain to him and get Joe up to speed. I think we reached out to Corey to say, how exactly do we navigate this new landscape that we're dealing with. But ultimately, what we came up with was the plan that said, really, Rushville and Rush County is gonna get $100,000 of it. We think that's proportional. We think it's, I mean, there is no magic formula. We didn't rate it on the deaths in the community or the safety. It was, how do we make this something that's, reasonable and seems fair? So anyway, that was the thing was, we got our own bill, which is basically 100,000. Decatur County got theirs and Henry County got theirs. And so far, like I say, this has been our hiccup, is standing here, and that's why I'm here today. I will tell you that, this doesn't fund anything. It doesn't fund anything as far as road construction of any project. But I think that what we've always looked at and what we know is going to happen is, whether we want things to change, they're going to change. And every time there is road construction on Highway 70, the state will tell you, don't worry about it. They're going to take the T-tour. That's what they're going to do. But we know they don't. We know they go journeying off all over the place. And so we will pick up traffic. And if we think that that's really going to happen, introducing a toll road to 70 is going to change it drastically more. Because if you think somebody's going to go right now, if you ask the state, where is a TS Tech truck going to go? It's going to go all down 70. It's going to go to 465. It's going to go down 74. It's going to get off the exit. But I can tell you from seeing about 60 some trucks that say it, they go straight down Highway 3. And so that's the whole reason why we've done this. I know there was some debate about the zero traffic death resolution. I think that's just, and I don't know why that's in place. I don't know why that's significant to them. My guess is because of the title of the grant, but that's their big thing, is to tell the elected officials are trying really hard to help support the fact that there's zero deaths on any program we would do. Is it realistic? I don't know that I would say it is. But
It should be something we should strive for
Yeah.
all the time. So why are we putting it on a title?
I totally agree with you, but again, it was part of the horse and pony show that they say this is what you do. And so, kind of in the same puzzled look you had, we voted for it and went through, and the county did the same thing. So I say, I'm here kind of to give you that background. Not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I think that there has been better understanding by certain people than by other people. And, you know, I apologize for that, if we were any way a part of any of that. But at the same time, coming up here I think that one of the things, Kyle was kind of the manager that kind of made sure that everything was coordinated. And when I say that, when Lockmuller said, hey, by the way, how should we do X? Kyle was the guy that answered the question. And I know one of the big things was, they came back and said, we've kind of done the study. We do have the data. We've taken the input from Henry County and Newcastle and Rushville and the whole group. But we don't know right now how to give a better deal. How do we get you guys more value? And so they came back and said, can you pick 10 spots that are causing you guys concern? They don't have to be along Highway 3, just anywhere in your community. We'll go out and at least lay out that project so that if somebody were to come along, it would allow you at least enough information to make application for a grant. You wouldn't have to have construction documents, or you wouldn't have to, in theory, hire an engineer. You could just put together an application. Now, then they'll come back and say, you were awarded. Now, what do those construction documents look like? At that point, you could hire anybody to take that concept. And so that's what they did. I think that in Rush County, they came up with roughly 9. Decatur County, they came up with 12. Henry County, they came up with 10.
And what was the year that was done again, that they came up with those 10?
Would have been last year.
Okay.
So in this is the document. This is the final document. And this makes you eligible for this, and I can give this to you. It makes you eligible for these grants and aids in the transportation world. And then it breaks it down. But for us going out of this, do I think they're gonna come down and do a major crazy thing on Highway 3? Probably not. But they are probably gonna look at some things. And some of our, situations, some of our 9 that they looked at, they've given recommendations of here's what you do. And with this, when the bills, when we settle up, you get handed this, you get your projects, and that makes you eligible for these.
So who would come and look at those 10 locations again? What's the name of the company? Lockmuller?
Lockmuller,
Yeah,
they used to be out of Evansville. Now
Right.
they're out of Evansville. They're also have an office in Indianapolis.
and you're saying
We
that,
met with Lockmuller out on Highway 3 from 70, Spiceland, Dunreath, where.
is that what this is?
Yes,
This is part of that, yes.
yes, it is. And so this is the book you would get that has your projects, has the whole thing. It's a complete study.
So I thought when we met with the people on State Road 3, they were from NDOT.
Part of them were, but the people who were heading it were Lockmuller. The 2 girls that was there were part of Lockmuller. The other 2 guys
The one
was
that
there were
was running the
NDOT.
tour was from Lockmuller.
Yes,
Correct.
so
So anyway, I say, I feel bad because I'm standing here and I think I'm looking at 3 people who are going, what the heck just?
It's just confusing because there hasn't been that much turnover. I mean, Steve's been here for 5 years and the mayor's been here
But I don't think Steve was who.
a
well,
very
I-
long time.
Steve wasn't who we met with when we came up on that day.
also you met that Bobby Plummer was,
We did,
And-
yeah.
And,
If I may.
oh,
yes.
yeah.
How are you,
We're
Mayor?
gonna stand by. okay.
Yeah, we'll stand
All right.
next to each other. You're not gonna punch me or nothing,
No,
are you?
no,
Okay.
no.
So when I was contacted to sit on this committee in
Something like that.
2024-ish, sure, sounded like a good idea. And as they went through the projects, I said, this does sound like a good idea. I, as a singular commissioner, cannot make the county do anything. The commissioners never voted, never signed an agreement. It was never brought to the commissioner or the council to fund it. So to be shocked that all of a sudden when Steve called me and said, what's this $50,000 invoice for? I'm like, I didn't obligate the county to $50,000.
Did you, this is an accusation, but did you know that?
No.
You didn't know that there were going to be funds requested in the future? Okay,
No, I was not aware. No,
okay.
not throwing anybody under the bus. I was not aware that there would be funds. Did I attend every meeting? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
And then when I was no longer in the commissioner's seat, Joe stepped into my spot on what I thought was a steering committee.
Okay.
I did not realize what they were doing. And I talked to Joel a couple weeks ago. I could have said, sure, the county will pay all $200,000 of it.
Right.
No, that's not going to happen
Right.
because you have to have 2 votes. And it never did go to the commissioners for any type of an agreement to be a part of it or pay any money.
So you felt that you were just providing
I
input to represent your
felt like
area?
Just providing input
Yeah.
to help the area.
Also,
Yeah.
because I know that there was question 3 years ago, I think it was, about even funding the
The
EIRPC.
EIRPC, correct.
And I know we funded it 1 year out of ARPA
And I don't
funds.
think this is part of the EIRPC because Decatur.
No, I just know there was
Right, exactly, correct.
challenges on
Challenges with
funding
the
stuff.
Being a
and
member of the EIRPC.
So that this, it keeps escalating at this point.
So
and-
I think there's just been through the whole project, and again, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or dog anybody. I just think the overall impression that I was given, if there would have been, look, Joel knows me, if there had been any type of anything that we were going to have to obligate anything financially, it would have come to the commissioners and the council because the commissioners don't have a line item to budget anything like
Right.
that. So the council would have had to then say, yes, we are in agreement and we will appropriate X amount of dollars.
Okay,
I know that's been part of the discussion and I've had it with the auditor is we have no place to come up with the $50,000 at this
Correct.
point.
Correct.
So,
I'll step aside.
that was part of my concern with this, and it's my understanding that whether we fund it or not, once this is all done, the notebook that you have up there will be published one way or the other, I guess, unless it's not funded at all. And then it becomes public record and we could have access to it without even paying for it.
Well, kind of and no.
So
so who signed the contract with Lockmuller? Did
We
it,
did. We did. So
Rushville City, City of Rushville
Yeah,
signed the
there had to be a
money.
lead agency and we were that.
Yeah, okay.
And ultimately, the answer is no, that won't happen. And not to be a bad, I think in standing here, I think that the impression today is we thought we had a champion in each community and we handed it over to that champion.
Hmm.
So Decatur County has paid its bill and Greensburg has paid its bill with the exact same meeting we had here. Am I throwing anybody under the bus? No, but I know they did it. They knew it. I don't know of anybody in this room, especially when taxes just came out the other day, that says, oh, I thought I was going to get that for free. I don't know of any grants out there that are any better than 90-10. Some are 90 or 80-20. That's what this one was. 50-50, 75. So there's always a buy-in by the local community to do.
Yeah, but just to be clear, I mean, we meet with people all the time to provide input just as community leaders.
Mhm.
And just because ex-Commissioner Plummer provides her input, that doesn't mean that she's assuming that there's going to be funds obligated. I mean,
I'm not gonna stand here and argue. I'm just
Right.
going to tell you the story.
right,
I'm going to
okay.
tell you the application was made, and the application was made with the fact that if we win this, it's 80-20. It's an 80-20 match, and
Mhm.
we all knew that.
Okay.
Will we pay the bill? We will pay the bill, but at the point we pay the bill, this becomes the city of Rushville's program.
Mhm.
And the fact that Newcastle and Henry County has the most deaths in this area related to safety, related to roads, related to these specific projects. My thought was, well, my guess is, thinking everybody kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And again, how do you do an interlocal agreement in the fact that you haven't even won anything at that point? We didn't do one. We said, everybody willing to do this, we'll figure it out. The worst case, it could be third. They voiced, I don't know, that's gonna work. It's probably gonna end up something different. And again, I'm willing to pack our stuff and go back, but I'm just saying that when I heard that, oh my gosh, the city of Rushville sent a $50,000 invoice to Henry County, and Henry County has no idea or no concept that this even exists. And at the same time, there are pictures in here of people meeting with NDOT and with Lockmuir along the road. There are people in here that went to open houses related to this project. I went, wow, that's kind of shocking to me. Where did the ball get dropped? And so I'm
Mhm.
here to answer any questions you might have. And that's kind of where we'll leave it. And
Okay.
I was gonna say, because the discussion when we met with Lockmuir, because all three of us were at that meeting on Interstate 70 and 3. And most of the discussion there was traffic patterns and turn lanes.
I thought NDOT was just requesting our input.
And then when it got to Spiceland, it was were some of the intersecting roads a problem as far as accidents and what have you? And if there was a possibility that 3 would be widened to 4 lanes, how would that work going through the little town of Spiceland? And then when we got to Dunreath, it was, what do we do with 3 intersecting at Dunreath on 40 and then turning it back to 3 heading towards Rush County? And they talked about the stop signs. They talked about possible roundabouts. They talked about signals, and then they went to where it turns off of 40 back towards Rush County. And they talked about the sign that said approaching traffic. They said that wasn't one of their better ideas, that it didn't really reduce accidents at that area. So they weren't sure what they were going to do there. So all these things were just kind of a discussionary at that point. It was something that NDOT and Lockmuir were discussing on what Henry County thought of what they were contemplating doing. I've been told that NDOT hadn't really an appetite to fund this at this point. And I could be wrong, but that's what I'm hearing. And then when I heard Newcastle as the city wasn't planning on contributing at all, so now it falls on the county to shoulder the whole $50,000 that we don't know we have to shoulder at this point. And when I look at the 10 projects, I was somewhat conflicted that 1 through 7 are city, state, state, city, state, state, city. And those had the high scores on them as far as priority. And the bottom 3 were county projects. and they received the lowest score. So I was thinking, as a county commissioner, I realize everything that's on here is in the county, but things that are on the state's list should be funded by the state, not the county, in my opinion. And my problem was the fact that the three things that was going to benefit the county most as a whole were at the bottom of the list and the bottom of the ranking. So why am I giving $50,000 for something that's not really going to benefit the county? And the city's not willing to chime in with any money either. So apparently it's not high on their list of priorities. So I guess that's
I think
my
for-
confusion with this all.
For next steps, I appreciate what you said. You didn't come to argue with us. So I apologize if it felt like that was my approach, but we don't have money allocated for it. And from where we sit and the council sits, we should address it like any request for money and prioritize it and see if there's funds. So that's my thought process. Is this is the first time that we are finding out that there's a request for funds, and we won't get the information if we don't pay for it. So we need to decide if it's worth $50,000 for us to participate in the program.
Yeah, and I think that all the situations you talked about are in here. They're all addressed. So it's not a mystery of what they would do. I will tell you that we went to NDOT and we said, hey, by the way, we think this is significant. This is important. What do you think? And NDOT said, no, we don't. We don't think it's important. We're not going to make the investment. And we said, okay. And the federal government came in and said, we think it is important. We think that it is more important, and that's where we're going to direct the funds. So this is a federal program. It's not a state program. So I think it is, I think it's the difference between what the state tells you you're willing to do and what you're willing to go out and work for.
So do you have in that binder the results of the,
Yep, this is the full stuff.
okay,
This is the final thing that, you know.
that can be
you find
used
it-
to apply
it's worth it
grants
if you
with?
find the, you know, the rankings of where the traffic accidents are and where the fatalities are. If you find that there's value in that, they think that they have answers, at least options for you guys to look at. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate the way you've approached it, which is a priority. I can tell you there was a level of disappointment when we did come up here, because like I say, the mayor was involved in all this, very involved, very much. I can tell you during the NDOT conversation at City Hall in Rushville, the loudest, most passionate speaker on the whole thing was the mayor.
I
Oh.
will agree with that too, Mike, because I was a part of that meeting.
And- And when we came up here for the meeting, the mayor said, NDOT's doing some work out there on Highway 3. I don't think I need anything. And I said, this isn't about what they're doing today. This is about 20 years from now. This is about whenever I'm in the ground and the next generation is trying to figure this out. And he said, yeah, but NDOT's finally doing something for me. I think I'm good. I'm going to set this out. And it's like, well, that is disappointing in the fact that when we made the application, we all knew it was there. We got our picture taken, we promoted it. But a NDOT project on a 4-lane road through the side of a town seemed to be, well, I think I'm good now. Well, like I say, it's the difference between vision and not so much vision, I guess. But good dude, love him. I consider him my friend. But at the point where, you know, it's something, you know what it feels like? It feels like Rushville's playing Newcastle. I don't have the money to go to the ball game. But you guys have offered me to take me, hey, by the way, we'll pay for you to get in the game. And I'll pay you back. And I get there and Rushville gets beat by 20 points and I say, you know what? I don't feel like that was quite as good of a game as I wanted it to be. I'll let you guys go ahead and pay for my ticket. Thanks. And so that's kind of where it ends up here for us.
And I see your perspective, and I hope you see my perspective of
Yes.
where I was on that committee. In no way, shape or form was I aware, or maybe there was miscommunication that there was going to be any funding obligation, because if it was, as a commissioner, I'd have brought it to the commissioners and we'd have brought it to
And
the
I
council.
know Bobby and I trust Bobby.
I-
And
and- and please-
I think that's why I'm saying, I think there might have been a miscommunication of
Right.
us saying, hey, how are we gonna move this thing forward? And we thought we had people that were taking it back and knowing, because they knew, hey, it's an 80-20 split. Somebody's gotta pay for
Yeah,
this.
and I don't want Mayor Pavey to think that I'm trying to throw him under the bus, or I'm not.
We have a good
I- we
relationship.
We do
It's-
have a good relationship. Just have a difference of what was going on at the time. And Joe, I know you took my spot. I don't know what and I'm not asking you to say anything or anything. I hope that if the $50,000 is not paid, that this does not tarnish relationships with Rush County and Henry County, because I do believe we all have great relationships.
We'll continue to hope we beat you on a weekend and work with you on a Monday.
Exactly,
continue to do.
exactly.
Okay,
Does that answer everybody's questions? I
it
hope.
does. So what, do we pass it to the council with any type of recommendation and ask them if they want to fund it, or what's the right approach?
That would be my only thing, Joel. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think
because
Okay.
unless you have some way you want to pay it out of your budget.
Yeah. The good thing is, right, the good thing is that Bobby is on the council, and so she can speak to what she knows about the project and communicate any value that she sees, and then they can decide if there's
If you need,
funds for it.
we will, but.
I know I've had a conversation with the auditor and
And I
trying to
just wanted-
figure this out. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, like, this is the planning grant, and then it opens up your ability to apply for implementation dollars. So Safe Streets for All has kind of the two components. You gotta do you gotta do your safety action plan, and then you can come back and do implementation. And I get the whole, the dollars or projects are in the city of Newcastle or Spiceland or wherever, and, I understand all that. And that gets, we've got several of them in Rush County that, it could be implementation dollars for, new pavement marking or just LED stop signs at intersections out in the county, wherever it might be. But that's what this plan opens up. And that's part of, like, of course, we all know you can do a FOIA request and get all the information, you can see it and see everything that's in there. But in order to apply for implementation dollars through anything, you have to have that plan. You have to be a partner on the plan.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Is there a list of available federal grants?
Yeah.
That would be helpful for the council, I think, if they have a list of the projects and a list of,
There should have
Oh.
been one that went out in the invoice.
okay, I didn't see it. Sorry.
I'll
Okay.
shoot it to all three of you guys.
Okay.
Let's go.
And I will say something because I'm gonna get out, leave, and I'm in county office, so I can say something here because I get to go back now. Always remember that Newcastle is in Henry County, so it is. So we have a problem in the county saying, that's a city project, it's not a county project. No, we are in, we pay the same taxes as county individual, but we pay additional taxes for additional services you provide.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, for hearing us. We appreciate it.
Yep.
I'll say my only concern is I don't know where the money's going to come from at this point, because I don't know that we have it. And talking to the auditor's office, there is no extra money at this point, so it would have to be some sort of an additional appropriation.
Thank you.
So that's kind of where I'm at. And I look at it here. The state's cutting money everywhere, so all these supposed grants and all this additional funding, we were lucky enough to get 2 bridges funded here just recently, and we lost out on community crossings for the first time in several years. And then we've got an opportunity because they found an extra little pile of money that we get to apply for, and if they approve it, we may wind up getting some of that back. So, whether it's worth spending $50,000 on getting 4 lanes on 3 in the next 20 years, I don't know.
This is interesting too. It says a relatively modest planning contribution can unlock significant future funding opportunities. For example, a $50,000 local match could position a partner community for a $3 million safety project requiring a $600,000 local share. So any grant that we get for a project is going to require a significant match. The second example is for a $1 million local share. So we are deciding if we want to be part of a program that's going to require future funding.
Yes, that's the part that bothers me about all of this, is we're putting ourselves on
Shout
the,
out because we do have SJCA sitting in here who does a lot of
yes.
stuff.
And this,
So-
and some of my
And
information.
I'm
I've-
not saying that those things overlap. I don't know, but I just don't want it to be presented as though we have nothing and we do nothing and therefore this looks great. And again, not knocking Mayor Pavey or Kyle Gardner or any of the process, but we need to look at the big picture of what we do already have and what we do before we look at that and go, oh, wait, we might be able to open up more grants because we do a lot of that here already.
Because of $50,000, I can fix a couple culverts in the
Correct.
county right now
Correct.
that I'm in desperate need of where we're closing roads. And I guess it's the immediate need, not something that may happen or may not happen 20 years from now. And it may, I don't know. 4 lanes on 3 from 70 to the county line is not a huge impactful thing for Henry County, in my opinion. And especially going through the town of Spiceland, how many homes are going to have to be moved or tore down, purchased or whatever in order to make that happen. So,
Remember, you got to take somebody right this grant. We don't have
Yeah.
somebody on staff.
Yeah. It's participating in an expensive program. So
it's like, because I'm afraid 20 years from now, what do we put the county on the hook for our future generations?
I don't think we would be putting them on the hook, but we could be spending $50,000 and then when it's time to apply for a project, we don't have the $1 million. I mean, we don't have, highway department doesn't have an extra $1 million to participate in.
That's what I mean by
Use-
putting us on the
right.
hook.
Well, I don't think
because
we'd be obligated. I just think we wouldn't be able to do it. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm not sure if
But-
that puts us in an obligation spot if we contribute to $50,000 now. That's what I worry
Yeah.
about.
We'd just be
So I
applying
guess
for
you need to weigh
grants.
in on
but-
that, whether that would or wouldn't.
Typically it wouldn't.
Okay.
I think you just have a question whether or not you ever get your money's worth. That would be the issue.
One point I wanted to make was the $50,000 was the invoice that Henry County got. In addition to that, Newcastle got one for 25,000. So it wasn't just 50,000 for Henry County as a whole. Henry County was 50,000 and Newcastle got a $25,000, as I understood.
We had one, we received the invoice and we were to discuss with the city on how to split it.
Oh,
Still a lot of money. And I'm aware that Decatur County got a similar bill and they decided to pare it down, made the agreement and pared it down. So even if we were interested in paring it down, but I'm not sure that there's an appetite at this point to be involved at any level.
yeah. And I think we would always want to be responsible and pay our bills, but Bobby's telling us she didn't even realize there was any financial obligation. So
Joe, when you stepped into my spot, did you realize there was a financial obligation?
That was never discussed in any of the conversations that I had, although I'm aware, like he said, that there would in fact be some money down the road, but I never heard anything about cash money until we got the invoice.
okay.
I mean, I don't know what the appetite of the commissioners are at this point. I'm not opposed to having a conversation with the mayor to make sure that this is where we're at and where we want to be. If that's what we want to do. And I'm not opposed to having the same conversation with the council as a whole to see where they're at or what their thought process is. But that's up to you guys if you want to table this or whether we decide to figure out whether we're funding or not. I'm open to suggestions.
So I'll make a motion that as a board, we are not recommending participation in the program, but that we will leave it open to the council for funding if they choose. What do you, is that even a motion that we need to make, or is that, I mean, I don't think it sounds like we really want to do it, but if the council discussed it and had funds for it and thought it was going to be valuable in the future, we could, that's my motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 2-1. Well, it's too soon. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, next up. As part of what we we're doing right now? This is for, okay, for the affidavit for Neil's Custom Exterior for $22,160. Okay.
It's the ARA.
Well, this is a copy for each one of us. One for Joel. This is for the,
These are same as we've been approving so far.
it's ones we've approved in the past over we've been doing it for how many years now?
Make a motion to approve the affidavit.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. EDC. Okay. See anybody from the chamber? I don't see anybody from insurance. Jason. Okay, don't see Brian. Where's he at? Braden? Joe, you want to join in with this one? We're getting all knives now. Yeah. Another one? We have these are the bids, seal coat for our roads in Henry County from, this one is from CNC Contractors for $986,237.77. And we got one from Pavement Solutions, total bid for $1,001,001.01. And I have one from Evergreen Roadworks. Or you're gonna make me look for this one. Mm. Still not seeing it. This will be the perfect opportunity for someone to come assist me.
I was gonna offer you my reading glasses. That's really small print.
Yeah. Because I've just got balances here on different sections of it, not a total yet. See, I'm not seeing this is split up in different sections. I'm not seeing the complete total. Yes, please.
Both of us can't look at the same time.
Are you sure? Okay. And that's the total for everything.
Yep.
Okay, Evergreen is $840,540. So those are your three bids. I'll turn them over to you guys. Yep. Now, what's with this one?
Can we get a chance to look those over during the meeting and then make a recommendation at the end of your meeting?
If that gives you enough time, absolutely.
Well, we need to move this forward because
Yes.
NDOT is waiting for how much this is going in for to tell us whether we get community crossing matching grant funding or not.
And Joel, we can approve this contingent on whether community crossings
Yes.
money is,
You can make the award contingent upon that.
We'll make a recommendation at the end of the meeting.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
We've
Uh,
got, some, couple other things here for you.
Okay.
Bridge 138 on 950 East, north of 350 South. There's a curve just south of the bridge. And, of course, they're designing it right now. But we would like to have a level one design exception on that particular bridge. It's federal aid. So the curve that's there now, if we want to reduce the speed through the curve, in other words, at the speed limit, we're going to have to use a speed placard warning sign to tell people that that speed should be lower going through that curve. And that's the essence of what it is. Otherwise, we're going to have to reconstruct the curve, buy more right of way, and it gets rather expensive to do that. And my problem with that is we're building a bridge. We're not building a new road. Okay, so I want to try to keep the cost down as much as possible.
And trust me, we all appreciate that.
So if
Favorite
you will
words.
sign the design exception, we'll send it back to the designers and we can move forward.
So
Have to submit at the NDOT, yeah.
so you need us to approve.
I've got 2 pages that goes along with that level one exception, for you guys to sign, so we can submit that back.
Do I have a motion?
Make a
to
motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. So we can do that.
Okay, I'll get those from you after the meeting's over then.
Okay.
And, I was, gonna ask for permission to, send out bid specs for, new dump trucks for the year 2027. And I would like to go ahead and get that advertisement sent out, to get those bids back. The biggest reason for that, getting them out a little bit earlier than what we have been in the past, is I've been told that, the new emissions are coming out in 2027. There could be as high as a $20,000 increase on those trucks. The money would still come out of our 27 budget, but those trucks would be built with the 26 emissions, which would save us potentially up to $40,000 if we continue to get the 2 new trucks every year like we have been doing in the past. So,
And you know, my next question,
yes,
it's in your budget.
I looked in my crystal ball and it'll be in the budget for next year.
All right. That's why you're not asking me for any extra money.
Do we need a motion for,
I'd say, do we need a motion?
motion to approve request?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next up, surveyor, Mr. Rust.
The first thing I want to talk about is the agreement for professional services for section corner reestablishments for 26 and 27 with HWC Engineering. We're signing a contract to get more section corner work done, since we have the funding in there already to do more work. So I just think, Joel, did I send this to you to look at? Yes, okay.
It's fine.
All right, so anybody's got any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
You already answered mine. You've got it in your budget, so.
Yep, my buddy. Yep.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve the agreement with HWC Engineering. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Next. When I came into the surveyor's office, there was an agreement between Rushville and Henry County on the watershed, joint watershed of Flat Rock. It has progressively gotten terrible, especially through Rush County. The ash trees have clogged it up very bad. They're $50,000 in the hole. I think if I remember, it's $2,000 or $2,500 a year. It's all we pay. I don't know how this was set up. It was done in 2002. It doesn't say in there either, Joel, how much Fayette County pays a penny an acre. Something to that effect. So it's nothing to what we pay to have to keep this cleaned open. If you'll look at the map there, it runs from just north of Moreland on 36, clear down to Bartholomew County, which is Columbus. That's almost as big as Blue River watershed. We have contacted the surveyors in all those counties. We need to do something. We've had flooding in Henry County. Snaker's Trailer Court's one of them because it runs right along Blue River. It's flooded twice. You can't stop Mother Nature, but if this river would stay open better, we continuously have log jams, beaver dams, trees falling down in it. Even on the bridges, it starts scouring underneath the bridges. It's not good on those either. I've fought this for 14 years. I've been in here. We don't have any money to use on it because there's no assessments on it. The assessments we get, which is very minimal, goes to Rushville. That was the agreement that the commissioners or whoever was in command then agreed that was to keep it open, but that wouldn't do nothing, you know. So Rush County contacted me and we started talking about this raising some assessments. So we sort of looked around a little bit and I got to researching. The new thing now is a Watershed Development Commission, which is done by DNR. Actually, DNR came out and presented this to the surveyors of all those counties. Not all of them spoke up that they're going to do it, but we wanted to bring it in front of the commissioners to get your feedback if it is possible that this could even be something we could do. If something's going to be done, it's either going to be with this or it's going to be done with assessments, one or the other. So this is the easier way to do it. Joel's on the Conservancy for Blue River. I've watched that throughout the years. That has been the best thing that we've ever done in this county for drainage. They keep it open, they keep it clean, they keep it nice, and everything flows through good. Since they had done that and the 7 dams in Henry County, we have not had flooding across Road 3 where Weenie World is. That used to flood when I was a kid. So this is a program that DNR put together. It actually has been done in Pigeon Creek. Has been the first one in the last year to start this Watershed Development Commission. It cuts some corners on being a conservancy compared to being this commission. You as commissioners can approve this or disapprove it, but it's an easier way for us to do work in it. We don't have to deal with IDEM and stuff. We do have DNR involved, but it's more of the same, I want to say, Joel, the same process, but it's just a little different how it's governed. So we're going to show some slides here on some of the things to go through, some of the background on it. This watershed is a development commission passed in 2023 by the Indiana State General Assembly. It allows local officials to create an entity with tax authority to finance and coordinate water management activities. Organization at the HUC 8 scale with the ability to undertake certain activities for the benefit of the watershed. Cannot overlap an existing river basin commission or watershed development. That means it can't overgo the conservancy. Now what we do there, and it doesn't. It's created and ran by elected officials. The cost it is actually, the state DNR is actually the ones that sets what you can charge up to, but you can charge anything below that. So if we want to charge a quarter an acre, we could charge a quarter an acre, 10 cents, whatever, but it's something to start with to help with this whole thing. The watershed development commissions, one has been established. That's the one I was telling you about, Pigeon Creek in 2024. There are 3 river basin commissions, but they do not have a dedicated fund source. They do not have a tax authority. 2 river basins have transformed to develop commissions and the tax authorities. And Joel, if you see anything, you need to chime in on that. Go ahead. Address the purposes, Watershed Development Commission, flood damage reduction, drainage, stormwater management, recreation, water infrastructure, not drinking water. We don't have the water. We do not do anything with drinking water. So those are some of the purposes of it, keeping it clean and flowing. Project examples, Watershed Development Commission studies include monitoring to identify needs and priorities, funding gauges. So if we went in with all these other counties, the funding would be in one pot. Everybody would be on the same board. You have to hire a person to run it, like Jan Kreider. That would be somebody that would have to run it all the time. They would be the ones to go around and distribute where work needs to be done. Right now, Rushville is in desperate need, haven't done. That's our outlet for ours up in Henry County because we're on the top end. Fayette County is definitely want to be it. So those 3 there have definitely talked to be in it. The other ones haven't said if they are or they aren't. If that's the case, then any money that we bring in would go to these 3 counties. Fayette County cannot be in it yet until we develop it. They have less than 10% in their county. That means that they have to wait till it's developed. Rush County and us, if we did the 2 or whoever else would be in it, then they could join. So then they could have access to getting work done. So it's something that, just like with the project examples, watershed developments, you move on to what need to provide, prove and provide. Watershed Development Commission's watershed scale size is a HUC 8. They talk about HUCs, which is certain sizes. It'd be like, it's got to be so big before you could do it. So Fayette County can't be in it because they don't have 10% of the watershed. So Rush County and us are the big distributors of the biggest. There's over 100,000 acres in this watershed. So it's a big watershed. The purposes, a record of what studies, plans have been done, written, technical, financing, photographic, historical, navigative evidence, and an analyst. Will it address the needs? Yes, it will. It's something that our drainage board's talked about for years. Every farmer in Henry County, I can go down there if they farm along Flat Rock right now, they lose a lot of crop over it because it backs out in the fields because it only relieves so fast. If Rushville's plugged up, we're going to be plugged up. So, if we move on to how the funding, there's an annual assessment up to a certain amount. Counties can reduce the tax amount depending on their needs of the WDC. That means if we get caught up, then we can reduce it to what we want to. You have that option. It's not like a tax and it gets on there, it lays on there. You can do it. And we're not trying to make a burden. We need a base to start with of a certain amount to even get started, to start doing work. Then if it needs to go up later, or if it just stays the same, we'll be fine. But, I have call after call every year, everybody wanting me to do something on Flat Rock. Can't do it. There's just nothing there to.
Do you have any idea how much money would be currently spent on it?
Well, the currently is just $2,500 what we give to Rushville.
Okay.
What they do with it is just.
You don't know how much they put into
They've
it?
got
Okay.
their 50,000 in the hole right now. That's why they're making a decision to do something. So
Okay.
it's going to come up to hearing if we don't do something.
Okay.
And I really don't want to raise it to make a burden. I want to raise enough to get something in it to do the work of what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think if they figured it, DNR figured it, if you went full tax of what their top amount is, for every county to be in it, it'd be 1.2 million a year is what it'd be in. That's every county. So if you only got Rushville, Henry, and Fayette, I'm gonna say you probably maybe at the top be 500, $500,000 a year, but that's at the full amount. You got to consider watersheds that are already in that watershed, which means that's going to be, it's going to be a point where we got to decide how we're going to tax that. Because they're already paying a tax. We don't want to overtax, so we don't think we would tax them on that. It'd only be the land that's in that watershed that's out of our other watershed that would be taxed. That's how we were sort of looking at that. So it wouldn't be, over that. But, I don't know what the Conservancy bases their amount off of. How do they do that, Joel?
Instead of budgeting, the rates different each year. So
Each
similar
year.
to how you have the
Yeah,
county budget.
ours would be set flat and that'd be it. It wouldn't go up or down. I think it's based off of your land value or whatever, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, so, yeah. So those are some of the ways we can do that. How to, let's see what else is there. It talks about how are the funded. This is the intent was for a parcel not to get double taxed by the Watershed Development Commission or a legal drain. That's where I'm getting into where you've got overlaps. We follow up with the SBOA. They will said it would be unknown if the special assessment could be collected or on both of the WDC fees and the legal drainage fees. There's a question there that if you could, Rush County doubled, they do both. I sort of elect not to do it. So we leave that out of there. They're already putting tax on that. They pay for it. We do drainage on that. So it'd just be the one that's the amount of acreage that's not in it. So if you move on to the governance, the director of the Development Natural Resources, DNR, they're involved on the board in this as a designee. The county surveyor of each county would be there, a second county representative appointed by the executive, which would be your board. An individual appointed to respect each second-class city within each member county. I don't know would that be somebody from the city then?
Yeah, second class city, they classify cities in the Indiana code based on population. Henry County doesn't have any second class cities.
Okay.
I'm certain Rushville and Connersville aren't second class cities either,
Right.
based on population, so.
Okay, and then it goes into if there are no second-class cities within the county. But that's something I'm trying to bring you guys to see. And then it goes over the powers of the Watershed Development Commission, what they do. I'm not gonna go through all that, but we still regulate. It'll be a 75-foot legal easement, just like my drains. But we're just here to I'm just here trying to figure out what you guys' thoughts would be on this. Because I really don't want it to go to hearing and they set it higher than we can do with this. I think this is a good plan. It's been talked about for years. So I'll take any questions you got, but
This has no impact on any of county tax rates, tax limits. It's
No.
completely
It's a
outside.
special
It's a special assessment. Okay.
it's a special assessment and I understand the way it does work is the board actually has the account. They have to set an account up just like the Conservancy. And that money is put in the bank. The board runs that and that's how that one is run.
And so do we currently do that with the Conservancy? I don't know very much about it. And it's a special assessment too, and people, okay.
Also, we discussed this in our drainage board meeting. I know nobody likes to pay extra money for anything, but you take any farmer that's farming along any kind of river or creek that comes out of its banks regularly, and if it's not maintained, they're losing an awful lot of money every year on crop loss. And they're losing a lot of topsoil that gets washed back into whatever creek, stream, or river that's affected this. So to me, it's a benefit if we can keep that water flowing through all this from top to bottom. I think it's a win if we do it. We just got to figure out what that magic number is and who we get to help run it. This is all in the planning stage right now. It's just being discussed, trying to figure out which way is the best way to go.
You already have an idea, a number in your head of what you think what would be a good place to start?
I wouldn't want, you know, to be seriously, I'd rather sit down and run the numbers completely, like on 25 cents an acre versus $1 and see what your, you know, income. It's not like we're going to come out and do everything in the first year. There's no
Right.
way. This is years down the road, just like the Conservancy's been. It's taken them how long to get Blue River the way it is, but it's been worth the money. That is a payment that I pay, that I see every day, that is very essential to this county in drainage. Because all my watersheds drain, not all of them, but a lot drain into that Flat Rock. Either Blue River or Flat Rock. That's where the most water ends up.
Mhm.
Both of those.
Cause to go to what Steve said, I remember as a kid coming in from Mount Summit, Springport area after heavy rains coming down 3 and 3 being underwater. And when you got to the park from there into Newcastle, it looked like we had a giant reservoir for years. And since all the conservancy stuff's been done, that's went away. I mean, very, very seldom do you ever see water out of the banks at Blue River now. So it has been money well spent.
Yes, just if you are interested in continuing, I will get more information, bring it back but Rushville right now with us and Fayette, we're just looking to just see if it's a positive thing that might be considered. If it's not, then, you know, we're not going to push on, but if it is, we're going to move on with Rushville and us and Fayette. The rest of them haven't responded, so if they don't respond here in a timely fashion, then we're just going to have to, you know, go with it. But I think Rushville was just trying to feel out what their commissioners down there wanted to know. I think they're in favor of it because, like I said, we have no outlet right now. I mean, it's just packed down there with log jams.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you're just holding water back all the time. It never gets drained down like it should, so.
I think it sounds like a good idea and one that's been considered for a number of years as to what can we do. One of the statements that was made in the slide presentation that was very well done, the bottom line, it said something about remove and replace bridges. Can you imagine if this actually goes forward to where it's healthy enough financially, where it could actually assist in replacing a bridge? That'd be some big money.
Joe could speak to that. Your answer on, you've seen enough, you've been around longer than I have. How many long jams you've seen that can ruin a bridge if nobody catches it? Yeah, it just sits there and swirls and it erodes underneath of the foundations of them. So there you go. I mean, it's sort of a win-win thing with that. Yeah, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
You didn't need any action from us at this point, right? Okay. Okay. Mr. Green. Nothing right now? Okay. Sheriff's Department. We have a request for $19,135.98 for office furniture to be paid for out of the bond. Do I have any discussion? Well, that went quiet quick.
Yeah, so my thought is that there's money sitting in the jail bond that should be expended promptly. And if this is the prioritization of the sheriff's office, then I make a motion to approve.
I'll say the only discussion I have is we're getting, and I've already expressed this earlier, so no, some won't be surprised, but we got several other departments that now want to know why we're not paying out of our construction bond for them to get new office furniture, since the sheriff's department's office furniture is newer than everybody else's in the county. And the ramification part is what bothers me is what we're doing here, but that's my opinion. You can do what you want to with it. So that's part of the discussion that I've been hearing as far as what we're doing and why. And I can sympathize with them because they're right. We did when we've had offices pay for furniture out of their own budgets, and everybody scrambles to pick up what furniture that was left, so it's 10 times better than what they have. So
Has this office furniture already been purchased?
Yeah. I think it's not an unfair statement that you just made. It just doesn't acknowledge the different buckets of money that exist. So I think that office furniture should be considered for the bond for construction. I think that's on the list when we sit down and talk. But yeah, well, can I finish first? So, just like departments who have their own non-reverting funds, they are able to do benefits to their office furniture, computer when others aren't. It's not always going to be fair and even. And so that's my thinking is this money can only be spent on new construction purposes for the jail, and it should already have been expended. So but I mean, your comment's good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. Didn't we buy all new office furniture when we built the jail? It
Yep.
opened in 2022.
yes,
We did? I thought we did. We bought all new office furniture, number one. Number two, can't the jail bond also be used for repairs of this building as well, at all?
I don't think so.
Yes, it can. Okay,
Is that right?
Okay.
Check, but yeah,
I'm pretty sure, yes, that's considered, yeah, so. Okay.
And I will just add that it is good that it can be used for repairs, but those funds are not supposed to be held on to indefinitely. They're already supposed to have been expended.
I'm gonna have, we outlined the reasons why we wanted it. I can spare you us sitting up here talking about what you've already read, but if everyone else wants to be a part of this decision, I'd be happy to have Ann come up here and explain the reasoning. Or you can just take what we gave you, since you're the ones that make the decision, and you can vote accordingly.
I just had one question. Has this office furniture already been purchased? I couldn't hear an answer.
It's on standby. Is that right? Standby.
So you've ordered this office furniture already, yes?
Yeah, it's,
They what?
you want to clarify that?
Working with the vendor, Mr. Jones, because it was put on hold, we asked him to just hold off until we gave him the green light that we were going to do this.
Any other questions for us?
I don't. I think it's just, I can understand a different way of thinking about it, but my starting place is the bond is for the jail. It's supposed to have already been spent. And this is the prioritization of the sheriff's office. And it is too bad that we can't buy furniture for the whole department with it, or for the whole county, but that would be illegal. So this is, my motion is to
Can I
approve
have
the
a
purchase.
question?
Sure.
Are we still building a building out back? Is that still in the process
Yes, there's money there for that.
in the bond?
Yes.
Is the bond ever going to run out?
Are you guys apparently have called and got amounts, how much left? I haven't lately, so I don't know how much money's left in it.
Yeah.
Apparently somebody has.
No, I mean, and I would be good to have a balance, but we haven't approved very many bills from the $700,000 that we started the year with. We had 700,000, we approved the building planning, and then we approved, what was the equipment. and this request, so I think that there's enough funds, but then the building has to come in under remaining funds. I haven't seen a quote for do you all have the final quote for the records building yet?
I know the sheriff, he's
I mean, if it's
leading that.
more than what's left in the bond, then it's a no, because
Yeah, I
then the
know
bond's
the
gone.
sheriff said there was
Yeah.
money left for this purchase.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? So we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Hearing none, motion dies for lack of second. Auditor's office. Clerk. Memorial Park. Assessor. Recorder. I don't think anybody's here other than Troy. Bobby, you need to move over a little bit so I can see Brian back there. Sorry, Brian. You don't have anything, Troy? I will give everybody a heads up, as far as building inspector. I got a phone call earlier this morning, and I made you guys aware of a couple weeks ago that this was a possibility. The Rain Tree Inn, there's some things going on there. And right now I'm gonna leave it to, Joel's gonna get contacted. He doesn't know it yet. The state came out today. They have some very serious concerns over the facility out there and the condition that it's in. There's a process. I told Scott Hines to get all the details on that process and how we move forward. The state is somewhat reluctant to push for condemnation of the building at this juncture. They would prefer the county do it. I want to make sure all of our ducks in a row. If they are able to get an engineer to sign off on these things not being critical, then they will move forward with repairs, and then it will be up to us probably to put guidelines and timeframes on those. I'm not sure yet. So once Scott gets all of his information back to us, then we would probably have to have some sort of discussion, whether it's a meeting or whatever, on how to move forward, because there's some very serious concerns. The Henry Township trustee has been notified because there are some people who are living there long-term that are going to be directly affected. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that something is coming and we're gonna have to make a decision. Next up, we have a quote from McGowan Insurance, invoice 1462151 for a drone package of $999. I don't know if I have that.
Just once I get back to us.
My understanding that was for one drone.
So after talking to Josh Esco yesterday, we still have one more drone that we get for. Josh has heard there's a robot that has not been turned in on our insurance yet, and then a trailer that has not been turned. So that's just the first of, we know 3 more bills that are coming. We just need to know how to pay them because our insurance is running little to nothing.
So these are special policies.
Add-ons
The
to our,
policies we already
yes.
have, that we've already paid for, yes. They're add-ons.
Okay.
And like David said, trying to figure out where we're paying these things from is getting more and more challenging. things are,
And just, so listen,
Just to let you know, our $25,000 deductibles are coming in every other day. We're paying a portion of them. I think we've paid out, well, just on one, we paid out over 15,000 in a week's period on one.
So how come the bills keep showing $0 status? What's the difference? We get those
Bills-
weekly updates from.
No,
the
no,
new-
the
no.
emails
Okay.
are zero. These are $25 deductible that are different than what you're looking at. These are the deductibles for the lawsuits, tort claims.
What should be
For the
showing up in
attorney
my
fees.
weekly status then? What
No,
is that?
those,
What is
what that
that?
weekly,
claims.
those those are
Those are
actual
claims.
claims.
Okay.
Those aren't attorney fees.
Shoot.
Those are actual
I was so
claims.
excited every time I saw the 0.
Yeah, those
Okay.
are for the actual, those would be
Got
for the
you.
cars and stuff.
All right. Okay, so can you remind me how the insurance expense is currently? I know
So,
in which buckets, because public safety,
it's all in commissioner's bucket now. We've wiped everybody out.
okay.
So.
So there's no
only
m-
Commissioners are paying now. We've wiped every other fund out.
So I guess it comes from the commissioners then? Is that what we're saying?
that basically we're paying.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Commissary, that's where they
it was
purchased it
purchased
from.
from commissary, so our question is, does it
Oh,
come
okay.
from commissary?
Okay, I got it.
But commissioners are gonna run short on legal fees. They're going to run short on insurance. So, and it's like she said, it's just April and we're seeing these go down really fast.
So we paid the premium. And so now the only thing that should come out the rest of the year are the deductible payouts? No. Okay, there's a second, it's bi-yearly. Okay.
That was my concern when we were voting to pay for the big premium, was we had another one coming and who was going to shoulder that. So
Mhm.
because there wasn't money to cover it.
So there's going to be 2 more similar,
There'll be one more probably just like that.
another
one,
drone one, and then the
there'll be
robot
that
one,
Trailer and
and the trailer.
robot.
So 4 total.
We're,
So maybe $4,000. And is this a yearly premium or is it twice a year for this also? So $4,000 total approximately, if we just guess.
what the trailer and the
Or, yeah. Right, right. I don't see it on here, but
so I'm just trying to figure out where we're coming up with this money.
so it either comes from commissary or it comes from the commissioner's budget, which,
It's
okay.
already short.
Saw the robot running up and down the hall here one day and I asked
Mhm.
who that belonged to and they said it belonged to another county. So I don't know who the robot
Hmm.
belongs to. That's what I was told.
I don't know. I
The
just know
robot?
That Josh has heard rumor that we have one. He doesn't have a policy for it. That's.
Yeah,
we're
okay.
going with that.
Okay.
So I don't know if it would behoove us at this point to ask for it to be paid out of commissary funds until we figure out toward the end of the year whether we got money either for, I don't know if it's a reimbursement will be
Mhm.
allowed or what, but
I think Josh left, but Debbie, do you have a process for, I mean, this is us kind of rejecting a bill and sending it to the sheriff's department. Is that?
I don't do unless I get approval from, I mean, I'm only doing what you.
No, I
told me
know.
to
I'm just
do.
saying, it would have been nice to ask Josh if while I was in
Yeah,
here, but
If you
okay.
want us to pay it out of yours, we'll pay it out of yours. We just need
Yeah.
guidance on where we're paying.
it would be nice if there's funds in the commissary for them to pick it up. So Josh isn't here though, so we can't ask him, but
Once again, this is for one drone and we think we own how many?
2.
Josh Estill told me that they know one more bill's coming. They just didn't have all of the information on it to bill for it yet. They didn't have the serial number. So he's waiting on that to bill for the second.
Okay. Okay,
so I
so
guess I'm waiting on a motion.
I'm thinking of my motion. So I'll make a motion that we request the sheriff's office pay these add-ons from the commissary because they were purchased from the commissary.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next up, we have ordinance 2026-04-08002, establishing a fixed asset capitalization policy. I know Debbie worked on this quite a bit. Would you like to comment?
Joel told me it was standard. Okay.
Started to say, I think Susan probably knows as much about it because I know she's had a meeting with Joel to discuss it. But it's just actually the main reason is doing it is to make people held responsible to get us their information.
Mhm.
Because I'm the one that gets charged or gets written up for it. So it's really more just to make sure that everybody turns everything in.
I was gonna say, I know we've ran into this in the past, that we've had a lot of things show up that nobody knew whose they were, where they were. We had them, we didn't have them. I had an issue with our surveyor's vehicle that was listed at one point under the sheriff's department. And since we didn't have the title for it or didn't know where that vehicle was, the insurance inadvertently got canceled and we wound up eating a vehicle when it went to be replaced. So there needs to be better communication on where those assets are, what they are, and that they are covered. So I have no problem with having a policy to make sure that people are held accountable for what property we have. So the commissioners and the auditor's office are well aware of those items so they can be covered and continue to be covered, and that we know what they are. So when something happens, there's a paper trail saying that's where they're at. That's my 2 cents worth.
Yep. I make a motion, we approve ordinance 2026-04-08002.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next, we have a resolution authorizing reclassification revenue received from the settlement of claims for the opioid money. This is resolution 2026-04-08003. Does anyone want to have discussion? Oh, I was going to say, I thought Jason was going to jump up there.
I don't know if you're going to have any questions. So this is opioid funds that was allocated to the health department last year's cycle for harm reduction program. From the time it was accepted to the time that we went to go purchase the materials, the recommendations from the state changed on what harm reduction health departments can do. So that money has just been sitting there. I spoke with our nursing department, like how are other ways we can allocate this money for kind of harm reduction techniques. And we came up with a street outreach to the unhoused population. And what you're seeing here is budgeting some hygiene and basic first aid kits, as well as a couple blood pressure cuffs and stuff, so we can do some basic monitoring on street outreach. So it's kind of reallocating that money for that use.
I'll say, because it says here, county previously appropriated $4,085 and now resolved that the sum of $2,986.24 be reallocated for the harm reduction program. Is that correct?
Correct.
I make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next up, we have an ordinance for a zone map change. Case 2288.
So this is in my district and I missed this and just got this information today. So I'm going to ask for grace and make a motion to table for 2 weeks so I have a chance to look at it.
Tom, does that affect anything with the property owner that you know of? So I know he was wanting to sell.
Not that I know of.
Okay. Nope.
His plans may have changed.
Okay.
I'll get with Tom and get my questions answered and be ready for the next meeting. I do. It's here. Yep. Thank you.
We can drive you to it if you'd like.
Okay, I'll take you up on that. Buy me ice cream, drive me by the. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
So there's a motion to table until the next meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Seeing nothing else, any comment from the public? Now, wait a minute. I'm going there. If we are ready to award oh, you acted like that we just sentenced you to life in prison. Well, you were walking up there.
After reviewing the bids, we would ask the commissioners to accept the low bid from Evergreen Roadworks, for $840,540.
Okay, contingent,
Approval from the state.
and we are okay to do that, correct, Joel?
Yep, yeah, you
Okay.
can contingent upon the award of the community crossings grant.
I'll make a motion to accept
Second.
bid from Evergreen.
Sorry, Joe. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, it's a good thing you came up and showed me where that amount was, wasn't it? Hearing nothing else, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. We are adjourned.